What's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name's Matt.
My name's Dyl. We're here together. We're going to be talking about the Bafta Awards, which just happened earlier today. And I think, funny enough, we didn't even plan this. You have the One Battle After Another beanie on. I have a Sinners t-shirt on. So we're repping the two big dogs in the race, but clearly one of the dogs took home some major victories here today.
Duel to the end, my guy, and I think it's very clear right now which one is coming top. We haven't even talked about it before we get into BAFTA. DGA, as if there was any question that PTA would win there, but hey, it happened. One battle after another. It's sweeping the whole year. I would be so shocked if anything else happened at this point anywhere. And we have another video coming this week where we'll talk SAG, but I know people have been riding with Sinners there all year. I'm just saying, one battle hasn't lost anywhere, so
There's been various guilds that have happened since the last time that we had one of these, I guess, recapping of awards videos, but most of those guilds have gone to the expected winner of those. So when we get to those specific categories here at BAFTA, we can mention like, hey, this film, it won its guild, and guess what? It won the BAFTA award as well. So yeah, I think that we can just hop right in. The first thing I want to say is we've been tracking our predictions throughout the season, and you and I both had the same score here at BAFTA. We got 15 if you don't include Rising Star, 16 if you do, and we differed in one category. You lost on original screenplay, I lost on editing, but we'll talk more about those when we get to those specific categories.
did you have F1 for editing?
I did. Vroom
Okay.
vroom.
Vroom vroom. Yeah, I wish that just to jump in, things that I would have done different. I wish that I had properly valued I Swear because it was clear that Robert Aramayo could win Best Actor. And from that, I should have seen casting as a possibility too, but I just didn't. But the first category I want to talk about here, because of course we saw one battle after another sweep above the line, taking picture, director, adapted screenplay. It even threw in Sean Penn winning, which I know you're going to be very happy about. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the strangest loss that it had was in supporting actress. What do you mean? One battle after another won every single category it possibly could, plus Sean Penn, and it lost for Teyana Taylor to Wunmi Masaku of all people. Of all people. I'm definitely in the minority in this performance. I don't see what people have been talking about with Wunmi in this film. And so her winning here over Teyana Taylor when they overwhelmingly loved One Battle After Another is quite confusing to me. And perhaps it's because Wunmi Mosaku is British and had her breakout role in a British film, His House, back in 2020. But yeah, that was weird to me. What's your take on this? Can she repeat it at SAG or at the Oscars?
I think you hit half of the answer there of the fact that she is British. That probably played a little bit of a bias here. We go back to the prediction video I recorded earlier this week, and I mentioned, hey, awards expert, why do 60+% people have Inga winning this award? She's not British. She hasn't won anything yet. And I get the arguments that she is kind of the heart of the movie, but like, this is the first time a lot of voters are probably seeing her. So like that wouldn't make much sense to me. But I think a lot of the arguments people were having for Inga could be applied to Wumni here in Sinners, being the core of the film, being her breakout performance, and being in a category that is very open for who could win that award. Tiana Taylor is someone that we've seen specifically ever since she won the Golden Globe, is a very love or hate type performance. I think that the hate is more of a vocal minority than a 50-50 sort of thing. But I think it has shown people like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? She's in like 15, 20 minutes of the movie. That's all she really does. She's this one type of character, and she's then just gone for the rest of the film. And I think that what were shown here at BAFTA, 12, 13 nominations for Sinners was not for nothing. And clearly that did translate for multiple above the line wins. And to your initial question, yes, I do believe that she can go on to be win competitive at SAG or the Actor Award. And I would say between Wumni, between Tiana Taylor, whoever wins there at SAG is who I will be predicting for the Oscar. And I guess is a question of, oh, what if Amy Madigan wins there? She will have the actor, she'll have Critics' Choice. I'm not really taking her serious because of the fact that she's her only nomination for her film. She's not a sweeper. Those don't translate to acting wins. So then I would go with who has the stronger movie. And at the end of the day, one battle after another probably is winning Best Picture. So then I would go with Tiana Taylor. But if Musako takes this and she follows it up with actor, then I would be changing my prediction over to her.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna drop two things here. One of them with Inga, I think a similar thing for Stellan, and just sentimental value in general. I think people conflate um, British bias with European bias, and I don't think that is something that we can count on, right? Like, I feel like people were going Inga because they were like, "Oh, her film's so European," whereas Sinners, yeah, wouldn't be as British, but the film is so American. And so they were like, well, it's more European. But I really think that the BAFTAs they're British focused. They are not European focused. And that's why we saw Inga. I mean, Inga probably was never win competitive here. I think that was always wishful thinking. Um, and yeah, I just still I think the fact that every single one of the acting categories here, except for Jessie Buckley for Hamnet and Best Actress, the fact that 3 out of 4 were surprises. I mean, Robert Aramayo isn't nominated, wasn't even eligible anywhere else because the film hasn't released outside of the UK yet. I'm not going to put too much stock in what BAFTA did because they went all over the place in those acting categories. So to me, Sean Penn, Wunmi, um, neither of those two, that doesn't mean anything unless I see it repeat at SAG.
I would agree with that last sentiment is what we would really need to see more specifically, I think, for Wumney, but it also applies to Sean Penn as well as a repeat over at the Actor Awards next week. Because I mentioned my case over in supporting actors, which I think it could be crazy if every precursor has its own unique winner, but I don't think that will repeat over at the Actor Awards.
Imagine that happens in both supporting categories where we go in with no front runner.
I would love that personally. It's just I think over on the actor side, Grande's not going to win the actor. I think
Odessa's
Zion's the
not
other one.
gonna,
They're
yeah.
both not going to win there, so we're going to get a repeat winner. But like I said before, if it's Madigan, I'm not taking that too seriously. While over in supporting actor, I think there is a realistic chance we could get 4 different winners. It's just the fourth winner there would be Paul Mescal or Miles Caden, which is probably equally as unlikely,
No,
but
no, 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 no.
still.
Benicio.
Oh yeah, Benicio. Why
Yeah,
did I
yeah.
blank on Benicio?
And
Benicio
Benicio
definitely can
does
happen.
have a very good chance of winning SAG.
He does. He does. And I think personally, we talked about this a little bit earlier today over text, is for me, losing here at the BAFTA, I personally find to be a death blow to Stellan because he's not nominated at the actor. He's only won Golden Globes, and the BAFTA is what people have been saying. Oh, he is like, oh my gosh, this is his stepping stone. This is what is going to show the international support is behind him. And I get they went crazy in 3 of the categories today. You can equate this year very akin to, let's say, the All Quiet on the Western Front Banshees here, where those 2 films won basically every BAFTA award, and that didn't really translate over to the Oscars. The difference there is, I would say, Everything Everywhere was the film that didn't win any acting awards at the BAFTAs that year and won Best Picture. The thing is, one after another is the film that's going to win Best Picture, and it won an acting award here. So if anything, it's going to add to its win. So with bringing in Tiana Taylor, but it already has Sean Penn, or I guess Benicio del Toro if he goes on to win the actor.
Okay, I'm going to make my case for why Stellan Skarsgård is not dead. I think dead is a massive overstatement because if you're using the fact that he missed SAG, like something that I know we always say, but something you always say is we have to take into consideration how much a certain body loves or does not love a film. For example, you just mentioned Everything Ever All at Once back in 2022. It was clear BAFTA was not a huge fan of that film.
It gave it
And
like 10
so
nominations, though. It just didn't give it
it got, well,
wins.
it couldn't get the wins. But the same, I mean, what I'm saying for SAG in particular is the fact that it missed every single nomination for sentimental value shows that clearly that body either didn't see the movie or just didn't care for it. That is very different from the Oscars, which is a body that gave it every single acting nomination it could possibly get. It got 9 nominations at the Oscars. It has not performed that way anywhere else. It's clear that's a body that likes that film more than anywhere else. Yes, we were banking on it getting some of that international support from BAFTA, but keep in mind, this year BAFTA is the body that killed It Was Just an Accident. This year, BAFTA like they went out of their way to snub Wagner Moura. They went out of their way to leave out The Secret Agent in every category except original screenplay. Sentimental Value was the only international film that they responded to in any way. But I feel like the days of us counting on BAFTA as the international push starter, it's over. It's over. It's the Golden Globes that do that now. It's not BAFTAs. And so the way that generally I'm feeling, yes, Jacob Elordi has the Critics' Choice. Is the Critics' Choice real at all? Does it
No.
have any sway? No, it doesn't. It's a fun thing at the beginning of the season. The fact that Elordi won that doesn't matter. Unless he wins SAG, doesn't matter. I'm not counting him in. Golden Globes, yes, it's a small voting body. No, there's no correlation with the Oscars voting body, but it has sway, has a lot of sway. And BAFTA, yeah, they went Sean Penn. Maybe that shows that we're getting some sort of consensus between the two. But we have to keep in mind there's always going to be that vote split element. And that's what we've seen everywhere until now. If SAG goes Sean Penn, then it's clear they've decided where the vote split is going. And Sean Penn likely comes out on top. If it goes Benicio, then I think we have a three-horse race. Three-horse race because Stellan, that Golden Globe cannot be, that is important. It is impactful. And the Oscars do like Sentimental Value more than any other body this season. He's not dead, he's on life support. I'm going to keep predicting him because I really think there is a vote split situation going on, and I don't think there will be a consensus choice after SAG.
Moving on to our next category, people I think are going to bring up vote splitting because in lead actor here at the BAFTAs, they don't go with the frontrunner Timothée Chalamet. They go with Robert Aramayo for I Swear. And a large reason why I've seen, at least in the last few hours, of people saying why he did win this award is the fact that he is the only British performance that did get nominated. Therefore, there was no one else to mix votes. I've seen people say this is a huge knock against Timothée Chalamet's campaign, but for me, I would say it's the opposite. Everyone here lost to Robert Aramayo. Wagner Moura wasn't even nominated, so therefore he also takes an L in this category. For me, this doesn't hurt anything on Chalamet's parentheses sweep for the season because he didn't lose to anyone who's actually at the Oscars. And if he does lose the actor this upcoming week, then yeah, we have a real question. And I think just like we mentioned over in supporting actors, whoever wins the actor most likely will probably come along with the Oscar as well. It's just like as you've mentioned before, the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, they love one battle after another. Leo couldn't win at either of those places. There's been people predicting Ethan Hawke. He's yet to win anywhere. Maybe SAG brings Michael B. Jordan along with the ride if Sinners just goes on a massive sweep there. But I would say if they're going to add an acting win, that's Wunmi Masaku over in supporting actress. I just think it's going to be Timmy, even though he lost here at the BAFTAs.
I mostly agree with you, but what I do think that this shows is it's not showing that he's weak so much as just showing that he's not undeniably strong. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Right? Like it's just an indication that he doesn't need to win everything. There's no attitude around him of like, let's just crown him, crown him, crown him, let's give him everything. And so generally what I'm feeling for Chalamet is like, yeah, he's probably still winning everything. But what this opens up is a question mark for me at SAG because if he wasn't undeniable here, I do think it's possible that Michael B. Jordan takes SAG. I do think it's very possible because Michael B. Jordan is so beloved, because Timothée Chalamet has won SAG awards in the past. Michael B. Jordan, this is his first chance. And for a film as beloved as Sinners, which I don't think is going to be winning any other categories, I think MBJ could be the one to win at SAG. And that would throw the entire race into question for me because it's not that Timmy's weak, it's just that he's not undeniably strong.
And I think that point you just brought up is something that we've talked about BAFTAs in the past, and maybe it was because we didn't have the opportunity to record with each other earlier in the week before this
Yeah.
that I kind of forgot about is the fact that BAFTA doesn't care about narratives. They never have. This year is a perfect example. Stellan Skarsgård's career narrative doesn't work in supporting actor. Timothy Chalamet finally getting his chance to win doesn't work in leading actor. Supporting actress of a career narrative for Amy Madigan doesn't even result in a nomination. So like they showed this year four non-narrative victories, which is very in line with BAFTA, which may be reverse psychology, obviously. If we thought about that a little bit more, maybe we could have picked one of these not to happen. But I mean, I didn't even predict Stellan to win, and I still got the category wrong. So clearly, it wouldn't have helped me exactly in that scenario. And probably Arameo would not have been my alternative over here in lead as well.
Yeah, yeah. Arameo is definitely an interesting choice. Probably going to be looked back at as a bit of a controversial choice, considering what happened at the ceremony. Did you hear about this?
I did hear about it. I think it's a very sticky situation to really discuss because there's obviously ramifications that come with what was said, what was done, but at the same time, there's the whole aspect of people with disabilities not treating them any different than people who are without disabilities. And I feel like any way you kind of go in the discussion, you're going to offend or piss off someone. But yeah, it is very tragic what happened because it didn't just happen with Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo on stage. It happened during Arco's presentation. It happened during someone else who won as well.
Yeah.
And it stinks that it happened, but I really don't know what could have been done about it to like prevent it ahead of time.
Yeah, I saw some people say that John Davidson should not have been there, which is like, on one hand, I'm like, I see your point, but also then you're advocating for the exclusion of people with disabilities. And that's like, it's just an unfortunate, really terrible thing that happened where it's like, really, are you going to tell the guy who a movie was made based on his life that won multiple BAFTAs? You're going to tell that guy that he can't come? That's it's just a really shitty, sad situation. I think above all else, it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing is just like it's so like I do feel bad for him because like he can't help it, but the fact that he said that to those people specifically is where you kind of have to raise your eyes and be like, "Oh, come on, this isn't great." And I think it goes back to the original point of I guess what I said before is with people with disabilities, you don't want to exclude them and treat them as different. And I think this is a prime example of they do something that they can't help, but it is still very negative and affects a lot of different people. Where I think it should be treated as if this was someone who maybe didn't have that disability against them and you give them the same repercussions. I guess controversially using that as a balancing off point to continue, though, Robert Amaro does win leading actor. He also does win the BAFTA Rising Star. And something I'm sure if you were along with the BAFTA prediction video that I did mention there is this is not just the most popular person. Mikey Madsen won an acting award last year and still lost.
Mhm.
It's the most popular person across the pond over in the UK. So to me, it was down to two people, Robert Armero, who was nominated for a performance. This film did very well at the box office there, or Archie. I always get his last name mixed up, but Archie, he was in Lurker, he was in Saltburn, he was in Gran Turismo. Pretty notable young guy, but like I said there, the guy who's nominated for the acting performance probably might be the one who to get the nomination to win, and he goes on to get that win there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Robert Aramayo makes so much sense for Rising Star. And you know what? Let's just finish the acting categories by saying Jessie Buckley. Any surprise? No.
Sweep,
She sweeps.
sweep.
She's the one sweep this year. The one sweep. And not I'm not a huge fan of the performance, but I am a huge fan of Jessie Buckley. And I think she was bound to win. She was bound to sweep like this for something.
Moving along to some of our other sweeps or the screenplay categories you mentioned before. One battle after another has a dominating night. Picture, director, screenplay, PTA. He's going to sweep all of those. And in original screenplay, Ryan Coogler gets another one for Sinners. And there was a huge conversation ahead of the fact of does Sinners win here at the BAFTAs? I know Awards Expert was heavily in the favor of sentimental value. My whole thing was American Fiction won off of a sole nomination, and because it was a sweep, Sinners has 12 nominations. It's in Best Picture. Why wouldn't it win? And Coogler gets the win here.
Yeah, in hindsight, that was a really bad choice for me
I mean,
to
it was the
put sentimental
consensus. I don't
value
think you can
there.
be too mad about it. I just think, like you said, in hindsight, it just fits with American Fiction with the whole fact that Sinners had double digit nominations and was in picture.
Yeah, well, it's such a like it makes so much sense that Sinners would win here because it's won everything for screenplay. I think I just was holding out a little bit of hope that Sentimental Value would perform better than it did. But hey, at least it won Best Film in the non-English language, which
Yeah,
is like,
the bare
that's
minimum.
just a give it to them because of course they were the one film nominated in that category in Best Film. But here's an interesting thing that I know we both got wrong because we used that same logic. Best British Film, Best Debut by a British Filmmaker. Best British Film, of course, went to Hamnet. But then, in Best Debut by a British Filmmaker, we both guessed Pillion would win because Pillion was among the 10 nominees for Best British Film. In fact, it was the only film in the debut category to also be nominated for Best British Film. And yet, they went My Father's Shadow over Pillion, which honestly, of everything, that is the biggest surprise I had of anything because what do you mean you say that this is one of the 10 best British films, but it's not the best debut? But another one of those specialized categories that had a big surprise, documentary, Mr. Nobody Against Putin beats The Perfect Neighbor. Crazy.
It is really crazy. And going back to that BAFTA prediction video earlier in the week, I didn't go super, super deep. I just went back to basically COVID to now. And when the Oscar winner is here, it wins with the exception of the film that was gate kept, is also in the category because that happened last year where No Other Land was nominated, but it lost to Superman, which obviously, if it had gotten the Oscar nomination, it probably would have won. And I think that raises some questions because The Perfect Neighbor fits the film that could have been gate kept, but it did get the Oscar nomination. We were all expecting to win the BAFTA, we were all expecting to win the Oscar, and the film it loses to is nominated at the Oscars. And it is an issue film, and it is an issue that the Oscars have given multiple wins to in the last few years. So, like, for me, I might be switching over to Mr. Putin Against Nobody because it fits what the branch has been going for, even if Perfect Neighbor is this populist type film that we would expect to win at large. But I don't know. I think it's now a real race where before it was kind of a sit and forget, at least for me with Perfect Neighbor.
Uh, Mr. Nobody Against Putin is just so mid, though.
I,
So mid. But
that
the
doesn't
whole
stop the doc
documentary
branch.
category this year is mid. The whole category is mid. Like, I don't even really like The Perfect Neighbor that much. But, like, it's somehow my favorite in the category, despite being a film that I'm like, it's fine. I am not going to be swayed to Mr. Nobody Against Putin, but I might be swayed away from The Perfect Neighbor. And if that's the case, I would have Come See Me in the Good Light.
Which is not nominated here. So it would keep that stat from
Yeah.
before accurate because it wasn't nominated. But for me, that's my big thing of now second guessing myself is I only went back like 6 years. But every time if the doc winner was here, it won. And the one time it didn't, it's because the gate kept film did win. So I might agree with you where it is Mr. Nobody, but instead of against The Perfect Neighbor, it's against Come See Me in the Good Light.
Yeah, and Come See Me in the Good Light, the thing about that one is it's such a crowd pleaser, such a tearjerker, and I'll have to think about it more, but I'm not going to be pushed towards Mr. Nobody Against Putin because of BAFTA.
Mhm.
I'm not going to let that happen. Like, clearly, again, the voting bodies are very different. They nominated only 2 out of 5 of the same films. So,
I think there was some conversation to be had. Is Little Amelie the true competition for K-pop? I would have said no because it hasn't won anything yet. All those places that would go up for the indie film, like they did with Flow, like they did with The Boy in the Heron, even though that's probably not really an indie film, didn't go out for Little Amelie. They just went with K-pop. So to me, that says biggest movie here, a film that has dominated the UK box office, Zootopia 2, makes sense. It got the win here.
yeah, I'm confused why Arco wasn't here, honestly. That's the only animated film this year that I would nominate.
A category where Neon could have maybe won here at the BAFTAs, maybe they could win at the Oscars, is our newest Oscar category, and I think the newest BAFTA category as well, is Best Casting, and our trend of lining up with an acting winner does continue. I would have said up until our Best Actor announcement, it was still going to live on in the way of Rocks. Instead of being one of the four acting wins would be The Rising Star, because Rocks did that. But no, I swear, wins casting and it wins lead actor, which is so puzzling for the people who want to use this as that's an Oscar precursor, but something I know we've talked about on this channel a lot is I don't think BAFTA is going to be an Oscar precursor. I think it might help for our nominations of getting 3 out of 5, but I do not think it's going to work for winners. I think Anora last year and maybe West Side Story could be parallels, but for winners. But I think I Swear shows here don't use this to help your Oscar winning conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm still, even on the nominations, I'm still confused how BAFTA of all places didn't nominate Hamnet.
I don't know. It's weird because the BAFTA Guild gave Hamnet the win.
Yeah.
The casting BAFTA or the casting British Guild came out the other week. I saw there was people confused online, but if you look at the nominees, you can clearly see they're 5 British productions. What do you mean a casting branch isn't going to do One Battle and Sinners and Marty Supreme and whatnot? That one happens, I think, right around the time of Ace. But they
Yeah.
have like 12 categories, so everyone wins.
Yeah, that's how these casting guilds work. I don't know. I think that generally what I'm going to say with the Oscars is for nominations, look for a mix of SAG Ensemble and BAFTA, but for the win, it's probably going to end up going to something that wins one of the acting prizes. Probably.
Yeah,
Probably. Like what BAFTA does. But yeah, I swear makes a lot of sense when you think about what this awards body has done in the past and the fact that Robert Aramayo won Best Actor.
Yeah, clearly they love one titular performance, Elvis, Joker, where, and maybe even Anora last year, where you're just showing like, hey, this one person you cast is phenomenal. And maybe you have other people here and there that really help. But I think in terms of the Oscar win, what we'll look for going forward is do you get the BAFTA nomination? Do you get the Guild nomination? Do you
Yeah.
get the SAG nomination? You have all 3 of those. And I think sadly to say, you're the strongest film in the category with One Battle. Arguably going forward, you win the Oscar, but maybe Sinners can hold strong and win this to its tally. But One Battle is stealing wins from Sinners down the line, and one of those will be in Best Cinematography. Following the BSC victory, One Battle after another takes cinematography here at the BAFTAs. And for me, you've won 2 of the big 3. I think that's GG's.
It's
But
gonna win ASC too. And like what a turnaround because I had held very strong to One Battle After Another for ages. Like Sinners had won all of the critic prizes and I was like, I don't get it. It's there's gonna be a turnaround and the turnaround has happened. One Battle After Another is has just been sweeping cinematography outside of the Critics' Choice Award. It's
and
been
Chris
taken.
Choice is really bad. I think someone on our
Yeah.
Discord server said they're like one of like the last 6 or something like that, where they haven't had a
Mm.
great track record since COVID.
But yeah, ASC is all that there's left. But honestly, with BSC, with BAFTA, and the fact that One Battle After Another is just such a strong film, it's just going to be One Battle After Another.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a huge fan of Sinners. You can see my shirt here. Cinematography is something I even said to you in the show. I'm shocked that it is sweeping the way it's sweeping. I would feel like that would go more so towards editing. Those 2 films would flop their wins, and it just looks like One Battle, the stronger film, is just going to take both of them because One Battle wins editing here at BAFTAs. It takes down the Vroom Vroom movie. This is one of the picks where we were different that I did get wrong. We each got one of those wrong here at the BAFTAs, and I think that this shows it's just like the Top Gun Maverick here. You can have your film that is an editing sound showcase, but you're going to lose out to the Best Picture winner, and you just take your sound as a consolation prize.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're in the era of sound and editing splitting, and I think it's just going to keep going like that. Editing for so long never correlated with Best Picture, and now it just seems like editing is well, it's the strongest film. Let's go to it. But maybe it's just also showing that the films that end up being stronger right now are very cutty films.
Yeah, I think even going back to last year, where I know early in the season, I still remember this oddly enough of all our conversations for last Oscar season. At one point, I think I'd asked you, if you have a Nora winning Best Picture, why don't you have it winning editing? And you're like, well, it's not really the type of film, but I think what it showed down the line is the other contenders for editing weren't that type of film either.
Yeah,
Conclave, I guess, but it's the same type of editing as a Noir, crossing stories throughout. But like Birdless wasn't an editing film. Wicked may have won the Ace, but it wasn't in the Best Picture winning conversation.
yeah.
And I don't remember what the other. Oh, it was Amelia Perez, which Amelia Perez was not going to win editing at the end of the day. So like it made sense for
It
Nora
would
to
have
win in
if it was more
retrospect.
in Best Picture at the end.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing this year too. Is while One Battle After Another is a very heavily edited film, it has racing sequences, it has action sequences. F1 makes more sense, but F1 is probably number 9 or number 10 in the Best Picture race. One Battle is number 1.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think in like the olden days, I say meaning 6 years ago, I think back to 2019 when Ford v Ferrari, like all I could think was there's no way that Parasite loses editing to Ford v Ferrari when Ford v Ferrari is like last place in Best Picture and Parasite could win. And like that was mystifying to me when Parasite kept winning everything, but it lost editing that night. And I think if that matchup happens now, Parasite wins editing.
And I guess the only definitive tracker we would have to break this, to feel definitive about either F1 or One Battle, would be Ace. But One Battle's a comedy, F1 is a drama. They'll win their awards. Now, if Sinners upsets One Battle there, then we can like, oh, definitive One Battle 100%. But I'm with you now. I would have going into BAFTA said it was 60-40 in favor of F1. I'm probably more like 75-25 now in favor of One Battle.
Yeah, I just think the era of the double sound editing win, we're not in that era anymore. That's the past. So we'll see though. We'll see. What else is there? Oh, of course, Frankenstein winning
Sweeps the three.
costume, production, makeup as expected. Maybe last thing, I don't know if there's any other categories we've forgotten. Sinners take score, but of course, BAFTA does not have a song category. So we're deprived of seeing I Lied to You get at least one win this season
And
because
it sucks too because K-pop wouldn't have even been eligible
well, that's what I mean.
for a
K-pop
win.
wouldn't have been eligible, so we would have seen I Lied to You finally win something. But nope, nope. Tough luck,
Yeah.
sinners.
And I mean, Ludwig gets is going to get his third. And again, this is another category where it was just so confusing to me to see like why are people not having Sinners unanimously? Like Ludwig has just won. BAFTA just does their sweepers, and like Johnny Greenwood hasn't won anything yet this year, and it
No,
stinks. I know we all love him. He's just like Thomas Newman. We want him to get a win. It's just like I don't know. The competition is never
no,
in
it's
his favor.
it's one battle is not the score for a win. It's just not. Sinners is so undeniable. Like one battle is just not the type of score that wins. It doesn't.
And I guess we do have one other category that we haven't mentioned, but there's a reason why we didn't really need to mention it. It's visual effects. Avatar,
Oh
it
yeah,
wins.
of course Avatar wins. Literally, I opened up the thread on Reddit and I was like, visual effects, obviously, as if anything else even exists in that category.
I think before we finish up with here BAFTA, and this is not related to BAFTA at all, it's related to next year. But for people who've made this far in the video, I know they're anticipating our next year predictions. I think for the first time in forever, visual effects is actually going to be a conversation point next year because we're going to have Dune Messiah, we're going to have Project Hail Mary, we're going to have Narnia, three films that are in that Best Picture bubble race. And I think we will have our first example next year because Avatar, I don't think counts because it's just a guaranteed win. I think
Yeah,
next year's gonna be the first year that we're gonna have in like forever where does the Best Picture movie win or does something that misses Best Picture but might be more of a showcase for visual effects win? Because there's a good chance Messiah misses out on the Best Picture nomination, but both
yeah,
previous Dune films have won. While Project Hail Mary could make Best Picture, but at least from the trailer so far, it's just space visual effects, which Dune's doing plus more. But then Narnia has talking animals and all of the animal stuff plus set extensions and everything. So it's going to be a fun category for the first time in a long time. Because even the Godzilla year, it wasn't really a fun category until Godzilla came in at the very
yeah.
last moment.
Well, and you didn't even mention Iñárritu's Digger, which we
Oh
don't
yeah.
know how big that film goes, but it's possible that it could be much bigger than anyone's expecting it to be in terms of its scope and the size of the visuals. But of course, we'll talk more about all of that when we get to next year predictions, which it might be a little bit delayed this year just because of scheduling things. Yeah, I mean, we're at the end of the video. We can talk about this. Uh, Just so all of you out there know, I'm busier than I've ever been in my entire life right now. I'm currently producing 5 short films. I'm directing a short film. I just finished editing a short documentary. I'm also prepping for a feature, which I'm writing, producing, and directing. There is a lot going on in my life right now. And in the period right after the Oscars, I am in a production period working on I think over the course of I'm working on 8 different short films over that month. And so, unfortunately, right after the Oscars is like the worst time imaginable for me. So hopefully Dylan and I have some time to get early predictions done, but no promises. I'm so sorry.
And hopefully we're able to get these predictions done in person because one of the
Yeah.
positives now is Matt lives a lot closer. The negative is, though, like he said, he's been super duper busy. But this is one of the things that we want to say before that time comes is if you have any ideas to make that video more interesting as a viewer, let us know in the comments down below because next year is going to be really fun because this year was clearly very fun. The year before is very fun. And next year, there's so many films. And unlike, I would say, any other year, nothing makes sense. We're like at this point last year, yes, maybe we didn't have one battle after another winning, but like it was there. And next year, nothing
Oh,
makes
but
the most sense.
Dylan, my boy, we always say that. It
We do.
only ever makes sense in hindsight. So
That is a great point. That is a great point.
I'm sure next year we'll be sitting here saying the exact same thing. Oh, Project Hail Mary was right in front of us the whole time.
That would be
But
crazy if that's the one that goes on to win.
that would be crazy. I mean, hey, it's got the reviews for it at this point. Early word at least. But we'll talk about that more very soon.
Well, with all that being said, we've reached the end of this BAFTA. I guess you can call it semi-delayed reactions, more like breakdown video of the winners in the state of the race. But if you're not already subscribed, consider a subscription. We're going to have our actor award predictions coming out later this week, plus all the fun stuff with the lead up to the Academy Awards. We'll at least have a final prediction video, if not even more to that.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. As always, my name's Matt.
My name's Dill, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.